Always follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Tuesday edition of Follow the Money coming at you on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy, Buonantony, and Jonathan Von Tobel out of our usual 12 to 2 Eastern spot on Money Moves, filling in for Mitch and Paul all week long. Big show on tap as VSiN's football training camp week continues. Coming up in 30 minutes, we will have Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian stop by to dole out some of his skill position sleepers. He's one of a handful of great guests on deck at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. Chris the Bear Felica of Fox Sports is going to come give out his favorite college football season win totals. Then at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern, managing editor of Golf Digest, Stephen Hennessy, going to help us with a first look at the Open Championship coming up this Thursday in Northern Ireland. Do we call it the Open, or is the British Open for you?
I go the Open Championship. Okay. I understand that we won the war, but I still give our former adversaries a little bit of respect in terms of what their championship is called.
Fair.
You know?
That's fair. We'll hold off on the golf, though, until a little bit later because we do have some big NFL news that's come through in the last hour. Yesterday, we saw Garrett Wilson with the Jets get that big money extension in New York, and today his teammate Sauce Gardner signing a historic deal of his own to surpass Derek Stingley as the highest paid corner in the league in terms of average annual value, gets a 3-year, $90 million extension this morning.
Yeah, this is pretty fascinating because you get the big extension coming off of your worst career, your year as a pro. This is one of the guys, if you go and you read the NFL guide, which we have out now, I wrote the AFC East, and I mentioned him by name as one of the guys who had a pretty down year on this defense. And it's one of the reasons why, if you look at this team, you do have, I at least have some expectation for a step forward from a season ago because guys like Sauce Gardner, as we know, can play better. He is being paid like that now. If you're looking at it, Stormy, from a PFF standpoint, coverage grade the first 2 years, 90, 90.8. Last year, 73.1. You don't really measure corner success, or at least I don't, by interceptions. It's very hard. Obviously, the key example is a Nnamdi Asomugha type who never was a big interception guy because nobody ever threw to him. But by almost every single metric standard, he had a very down year. So is this now going to be the year with Aaron Glenn at the helm, with him running that defense? Are we going to get the Sauce Gardner that we saw in the first 2 years? And if we do, I think there's a pretty good shot that this team, again, takes that step forward is better than we have thought.
Right, and I think that's obviously what the team is telling you they expect him to do by signing him to this deal. He did post to X and Instagram afterwards saying the deal is done. This is only the beginning, thanking his agents and saying, I appreciate the Jets organization for believing in me, and my teammates for the blood, sweat, and tears we put in, and Jets Nation, I appreciate y'all supporting me. But now I think for this team as a whole, where we've seen so many other teams have the issues of not being able to get deals done or taking them down to the wire and struggling with things, the Jets are taking this proactive approach and locking down some fundamental core pieces of what they hope to be their future.
Yeah, I mean, look, it goes back to, you brought this up yesterday. This isn't some team that has nothing going for it. There are certain pieces that you look at and you go, oh, I would take that guy. I would take Garrett Wilson. I would take Sauce Gardner. So if you can get Glenn to come in and get these things to go and put all the pieces in the right spots, it's, I think, going to be a team that could approach that playoff contention window quicker than we think. And when I say that, too, I mean, maybe it's this year, but more importantly, it's when you find that quarterback of the future. Maybe it's Justin Fields in a new spot. We've seen guys like Geno Smith break out late in their careers. Maybe this is it, too. But in the grand scheme of things, they're just still waiting for that quarterback, which has eluded them for a very long time.
I hate to say it, but I kind of like the Jets this year. It's just so interesting that with Aaron Rodgers last year, despite him being an aging quarterback coming off an Achilles, everyone was talking about this is definitely a playoff team, all of the expectations that they had for them. And now with a very similar roster and a change in regime that could change the culture around, and a defensive guy coming in that maybe will get that defense to respect his voice still. And that was the big loss when Robert Saleh was fired last year, was the defense took that step back. That you still have all of this talent that you thought was so highly regarded with Aaron Rodgers, and now you just think all of that's going away.
Yeah,
so
I'm with you. So for week one, for example, I only have one week one bet already, but it's the Jets catching 3 at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think my approach is going to be from a power rating standpoint. I'm a little bit higher on them than it would seem the market is. We'll bring them back, but when we did our market ratings, for example, remember we did that exercise, about a month ago or so, when we first just got some of those lines, you could kind of see where this team was from a power rating standpoint. I think it's a little low. So I'm with you. Maybe the approach is to go over on the win total. I think they can get 7 wins, but I think the reality is, from a rating standpoint, if we're going to continue to rate them amongst the cellar dwellers, I think they are better than that.
Okay, so last night I was very invested in the home run derby. I was very excited. Cal Raleigh, as the favorite, ends up coming through with the win, albeit not without controversy. But I was curious how much of it that you even watched, because as you texted me last night, you were very busy watching a real sport.
Yes. I think, did they have, how many points did they have? Like 111. It was terrible. The Lakers Clippers last night. I watched a little bit of it. I wasn't like super locked in. I kind of had it on the phone and had it on the side. Was watching it here and there. Watched the kid get the robbery, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I watched the tiebreaker as well. So it was a fine event. Look, it's a home run derby. I will say this. I saw a lot of kvetching about I got robbed, and all of a sudden we're measuring home runs, in decimal points and things like this. Folks, it's a home run derby in which they regularly don't follow their own rules. Seriously, you're supposed to technically wait right until the home run lands. You never really see that. Rules are skirted and bent all the time in this event. You choose to bet on it. I don't understand the complaints about now all of a sudden, this has to be a bastion of honor when it comes to betting and wagering. It's a derby. It's a standalone event that regularly doesn't follow its own parameters. So I was somewhat surprised by that many people bitching about the fact that they got screwed out because of all of a sudden the home run derby being measured in point whatever inch.
So yes, for anybody who missed it, while Cal Raleigh wins the home run derby, he was lucky to make it out of the first round because he and Brent Rooker both tied with the number of home runs they had. The tiebreaker was then distance, and the distance difference was literally ended up being less than an inch.
Yep.
So that's how they get the StatCast data that they gave, which, by the way, I thought the StatCast broadcast on ESPN2 was actually better.
That's the way to watch it.
Yes, it was. I was very entertained watching the StatCast broadcast. You actually see the home run in its entirety versus the full split screen action you got on the original broadcast. But it just fascinating that that's the way it came through. I know a lot of people wanted to swing off, and would that have been very fun for us? Sure. But things came through the way that it did. He ended up going on to beat O'Neal Cruz in the semis, and then Junior Caminero in the final 19-15 there. Caminero, though, by the way, 5-1 just to make the final. So a good payday for some if you were invested in that way. A lot of first round unders. The first round as a whole for home run unders came through. We did cash the exit velocity prop, though. And a couple things here. So y'all were judging me yesterday. You and Cody Decker both were judging me for saying maybe Cal Raleigh's dad being the pitcher could be a positive for him. I think they had a great familial connection there. His brother hyping him up as the catcher, screaming, "Oh yeah, you can hear it on the live match." You guys were judging me. I could sense it. And then that I went deep in the weeds on the home run derby, you're like, all right, we're betting exit velocity props. Yes. But you did like my argument, so it worked out.
Yeah, I did agree. I think you're trying to make yourself into a martyr when the reality is you're not.
I don't think so. I'm just saying how I was feeling in the moment when we were talking yesterday.
Yeah.
So is what it is. But he had a 513-footer. That exit velocity wasn't even the one that cashed the ticket, though. He had a 119 miles per hour off the bat that came in round 2. Much better than Jazz Chisholm's performance.
Yeah, that was very much a cash it in type performance. The Demon Slayer bat that was put up on Twitter did not help him very much.
Did not slay many demons.
No.
Did you see the Bless Your Heart corn dog thing?
No.
That they have? It was apparently the food.
Is that the one that was covered in Fruity Pebbles or whatever?
Fruity Pebbles and hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
A foot-long corn dog covered in... I'll eat a lot of things. That seems a little much, even for me.
A lot of things...
Pick one or the other.
A lot of things had to happen. Out of all the cosmic events that had to happen for humanity to eventually walk this earth, I don't think that should have led up to the fact that then we're crushing up hot Cheetos and Fruity Pebbles and putting them on a corn or a hot dog.
So with the home run derby in the rear view, we do have the All-Star Game coming up today, American League and National League. National League slightly favored, being, quote, at home with the more veteran lineup as well. Expected starting pitchers, Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal, but I wouldn't put much stock into that, though. A big part of the All-Star Game is that they want to get everybody to play, so we'll probably see an inning from those guys. How do you see it tonight?
Well, market sees it as the National League should be favored. We saw this get up to about almost nearly $1.30 offshore before this started coming back down. So there seems to be some love for the NL. Like you're pointing out, I guess if you're really evaluating the starting lineups, they give a slight edge to the National League given the potential green nature of some of the guys that are in the American League lineup. But, once you get to a certain point, and I think you saw this market buyback too, when you're starting to talk about nearly plus 120 in an all-star format, I'll take the other side. Like, I think that'd be a good point. Like I said, offshore got to as high as plus 118. That seems to be about a point where you're like, all right, like maybe we're crossing a bridge too far. These are still the best of the best. There shouldn't be that much separating these two teams. And the pitching staff, I think, breaks down nicely for what the National League brings to the table once you start to dip into the bullpen and bring some guys out. So I would very much look at this and go, all right, I understand some run here, and I think I misspoke there. I think I like the pitching for the American League once you get into the bullpen. So give me the AL if we're going to start to get to that plus 115-ish price, which we did see earlier today.
Yeah, some of those top-tier pitchers in the National League aren't playing because they're injured. So I agree with you. I like that. And maybe I'm reading too much into just an All-Star game, but maybe the fact that the National League, too, does have all of those veterans and guys that have played in an All-Star game before, don't really care about it as much compared to the younger roster for the American League. That, hey, this is my opportunity to have a little fun and maybe want to win that much more. I don't know if that actually means anything, but a thought.
I would say we've had this conversation about All-Star games in totality, like all of the major leagues. I think you can really care and put your full effort into this because baseball is like the lowest impact sport of all of these, right? So
it's the truest of the All-Star games.
So I do think, you get to recreate the sport as close as you possibly can in a normal event. So I think the effort's going to be out there just because I don't want to say it doesn't take a lot of effort to play baseball, but it is not as strenuous to add an All-Star game to your body and then the rest of the regular season as it is some of these other sports we talk about.
That said, those guys were sweating in the Derby last night.
Well,
that looked exhausting.
It
looked exhausting. Run total in the game also sitting 7. The last 10 All-Star games against that total of 7 would have gone 4-4-2. So a little bit of a split there. We're going to take our first time out of the day. We're just getting started here on Money Moves. When we return, the first Summer League game of the day is going to get underway in just a little bit. So I'll get your thoughts there. And as of end of day today, the Chargers will have officially reported to training camp. A deep dive on Los Angeles and the AFC West coming up.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Summer League hoops here in Vegas rolling on today with 7 more games. We did have some fireworks yesterday as JVT was sweating on air, the Atlanta Hawks. But hey, you got there. They won the game.
You were not happy with it. I mean, I thought this was what this is all about.
It was a lot.
It's Christmas.
It was a lot.
That's what this is all about. This time of year.
Anything else stand out to you yesterday, by the way, before we get to today?
We'll get to that, I think, a little bit later from yesterday. But I will say what is interesting about today overall, as I told you, today is, as I'll call it, moving day. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 teams that are currently 3-0. We have another 4 teams that are 2-0. Again, you only play 4, we'll call them regular season games, and then it's decided by point differential, head-to-head, all those sort of things. So as it stands right now, you could be in a scenario where, like I've mentioned, Mitch Moss, the namesake of this program, not really, but if you look at it from his perspective, he's got a Hornets ticket. The Hornets are 3-0. That's great. They're on the outside looking in of the postseason picture right now. So this is a very big day for some of these. The Detroit Pistons will play the Minnesota Timberwolves, so we will get 1 2-0 team defeated today. The Thunder will play on their own later today, so will the Toronto Raptors. So we'll see who can go down, if any. But I will say, with Minnesota and Detroit, I mean, as much as you can evaluate these teams, like yesterday I took a stab with Dallas plus 7. They got smoked.
Nipple did end up playing.
Yeah, he did. Yep. But I would say with this, 5 seems like a tad too high. Ron Holland, it seems, by all accounts, is going to play. I haven't found any information on whether or not he's going to be sitting here. So if Holland's going to be out there for Detroit, I think the Pistons have a fighting shot here. But as we know, Timberwolves are one of the higher-rated teams when you're talking about this whole grand scheme of things. And in fact, coming into today, by the way, speaking of highest-rated or best chance, Kings are your new favorite to win the Summer League right now, plus 450. But big one right now that's going to start at 1:30 between the Pistons and the Timberwolves.
Yeah, and that spread bet up from 3.5 to 4.5, 5. Total 186 right now. So what do you credit that movement to? Just kind of what you're saying, a belief?
Yeah, I think that you kind of see, like we saw this yesterday with Atlanta. Some of it was Reed Shepherd not playing. Some of it was also, I think, the power rating, if you will, in Atlanta being a little bit bumped up a little bit by the market. I think it's the same thing here. Timberwolves were a very popular team in the betting market. Their odds really got cut down to win the whole thing as we came into it, and then they have delivered on that through the first 2 games. So I think that the market's just pretty high on this Minnesota team. Thought 3.5 was a little short.
Okay, well, that'll be fun. We can sweat that out on the air today again as well.
Yeah, if I have a ask, I'm gonna need or would prefer the Pistons to win this thing today. So it's not going to be like yesterday where I'm going to be hanging on every bucket, but a Pistons win would be great.
All right. Reminder, everybody, this is VSiN's football training camp this week as well. And if you are serious about winning this football season, your edge starts now with the VSiN NFL betting guide, loaded with in-depth previews of all 32 teams. We've got season win total breakdowns, best bets from VSiN experts, player props, betting projections, everything you need to be a more informed bettor all NFL season. And right now, you can lock in the VSiN football special for just $175. That'll get you full pro access through the Super Bowl, including every betting guide, not just the NFL betting guide, daily best bets, 24/7 video, exclusive analytics, and all the tools up at VSiN.com each and every day. This early bird pricing does end on July 31st, so get in there now. VSiN.com/subscribe. Again, VSIN.com/subscribe. And speaking of training camp, the Los Angeles Chargers are the first team this NFL season to officially open up training camp. Chargers rookies reported over the weekend, and then by end of day today, everyone will be on site for camp. Big camp day in general as well. 6 more NFL teams have rookies reporting today, officially, I believe. But the Chargers and Lions, because they're playing in that Hall of Fame game earlier, get that little early start jump. This is a team, JVT, that went from 5 wins in 2023 to 11 last year in the first season under Jim Harbaugh. Even better ATS record. This before losing what was an ugly game in the wild card round to the Texans. And Justin Herbert, who has a lot of hype each and every year, was great in the regular season in terms of taking care of the ball, had just 3 interceptions all regular season. He had 4 in that game against the Texans, and that's kind of the lasting image that we have of the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, I think, so I talked about this with Jensen and Dave earlier today too. My big question is for Herbert and just this offense in general is, are we going to kind of see them open it up a little bit here? Last year, when you're talking about what we saw from him, and he played pretty much all year long, right? 618 dropbacks. It's a pretty low number. He was kind of like a glorified game manager, if you will. And by the way, those 618 dropbacks, that includes the wild card game as well. So it wasn't like a large sample size. We've seen him take more. In 2021, he had 740. In 2022, he had 812. So I kind of look, we think he is, and he is clearly a physically talented player. But are we going to see more of him? Is Harbaugh going to open this offense up more and try to get a little bit more explosive, a little bit more vertical with the way this thing can go? That's, to me, what I'm going to be very curious to see from him as we move into this next year. And I think that's kind of the big thing for them. Last year, when you looked at their offense overall by some of the advanced metrics, they were just kind of floating around 13th in EPA per play. It's a pretty average output for the most part, floating around and flirting with the top 10 ranking. But I think you can be better. And I think you're going to need to be better in a division that now has a Broncos team, which looks pretty good defensively, a Raiders team that is improved on offense, and, of course, the monster on the top, which is Kansas City. So to me, I think Herbert played well, but what else are they going to put on his plate this year that's going to allow them to maybe take the next step?
3,800 yards passing, 23 touchdowns, 3 picks. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is a guy who's going to want to run the football. They draft Omarion Hampton. Najee Harris appears to be okay, despite the fireworks incident. But if you want Justin Herbert to be better, that wide receiver group needs to be too. And there's a couple question marks, at least right now, entering training camp in that unit. Yes, Ladd McConkey was awesome in his rookie season, and he expects to take that next step, continue to building. But you've also got Quentin Johnson with the drops issues. Then we find out the news yesterday, Mike Williams, who was brought back this offseason, is going to start the season on PUP. And then their second-round pick, Trey Harris, someone you'd imagine they would like to step up as wide receiver 2 behind McConkey, has not signed his deal yet. And this is a trend with a lot of these rookie second-rounders this year. Only 2 have signed, and that's because they got all their guaranteed money. So all these other guys are trying to figure that out. Yeah,
and I want to be clear, too. I think Herbert was very good. I just thought that there was a somewhat muted use of him. So we'll see that. But I think, to me, out of everything we've talked about for this group, I think one of my biggest questions, and maybe this is something that's a little unfair, is them defensively and what they're going to be. Last year, if you look at it from EPA standpoint, Stormy, they were 6th best in the National Football League. That's obviously very good. If you look at their slate of opponents that they had faced, though, they faced some of the worst offenses in the NFL that had to offer. I mean, you look around, when you're talking about their opponents, we're talking about Las Vegas, Carolina, Pittsburgh. Again, some of these offenses that were among the worst in the National Football League, New Orleans, Cleveland, Tennessee. That, to me, was a team that really got by against some I would say, lesser competition on defense. I think there's a reality there where they actually take a step back defensively because a lot of what they did on that end of the field was driven by their opponents that they faced last year. They're good. I don't think that they're going to fall to like 30th, but I do think that I'm not coming in thinking they're going to be a top 5 unit once again. I'm thinking they're closer to average.
So with that, where do you think they sit in the AFC West? The Chiefs are favorites to win again, although that price is much less than it has been in the past, minus 120. The Broncos and Chargers, only 10 cents separate them. Denver at plus 300, LA at plus 310. Then the Raiders, obviously a long shot at 20.5. But the Broncos and Chargers right there, both with win totals 9.5, both with Super Bowl odds of 28-1. So it seems the market views them very similarly.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty accurately priced. Like, I think in all of the simulations, when you look at this thing, like 9 wins seems to be about right, I think, for this Chargers team. I don't really see like the explosion up to 11 to 12 wins this season. Obviously, I could be wrong, but I think we're floating right around that 9-win mark. I think a lot depends on what the Broncos are and what Bo Nix is going to be. Again, it's only 2 games on your schedule, but that doesn't matter when you're talking about the standings in the division and whatnot. But I think second best team in the division with about 9, maybe 10 wins on their plate sounds, I think, somewhat reasonable with a slightly more difficult schedule. And I think it also depends on how the schedule breakdown. We have all these win total projections for every single one of these teams. But if you look around and all of a sudden the Broncos are a lot worse, the Steelers become, I think, a little bit more formidable with Aaron Rodgers. I think we've talked about him before, but what if all of a sudden the Titans do have something at quarterback and you go to that week 9 game and all of a sudden it's a little bit better? What if the Colts actually get something with Daniel Jones and or Anthony Richardson? I think at this point 9 wins seems a fair ask. I didn't really see any big edge there win total wise.
Yeah, it is a more difficult schedule, obviously, than when they had the benefit of a last place schedule a year ago in the AFC West. They do, on a positive note, however, rank 7th in the NFL in rest advantage. They'll have at least 6 days to prepare for all but one game, and that is that Week 8 game against the Minnesota Vikings. Other odds, minus 140 to make the playoffs again, plus 110 to miss. We mentioned the plus 310 in the AFC West. Stage of elimination props to lose in the wild card again, plus 280 to lose in the divisional round, plus 450. But if you think they can go the distance, 14-1 in the AFC, 28-1 in the Super Bowl. And per our NFL betting guide, as we've got that big chart on the, second or third page of the guide, 14 of our experts picked Kansas City to win the AFC West again. And then it was very split between the Chargers and Broncos, 6-6.
Okay. I don't know what did I pick? I don't even remember. I'll have to look.
I picked the Chargers.
Did you really?
Other AFC West news real quickly on the way out here. We talked earlier about the Sauce Gardner extension he got. Well, the Chiefs and Pro Bowl guard Trey Smith reached an agreement of their own just ahead of today's franchise tag deadline because that was looming large. 4-year, $92 million deal for Trey Smith, $70 million guaranteed. That makes him now the highest paid guard in NFL history. The average annual value salary and guaranteed money, the most ever to an NFL guard.
I think the Chargers win the AFC West as well.
Okay, so we're a Chargers program now.
Yes, although as you know how I feel about the Chiefs, I think that is derived more of my belief that the Chiefs might, take a small
step back. More NFL coming up next with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian dropping his top offensive skill position sleepers for 2025. Don't miss it.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
VSiN's football training camp week rolls on as we welcome you back to Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Sirius XM Channel 158 alongside JVT, Stormy Buonantony with you in for Mitch and Paul this week. And excited to continue our NFL talk as Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joined us here on the Progressive Guest Line, host of Fantasy Football Weekly and director of Guillotine Leagues at FantasyLife.com. You can follow him on X at Paul Charchian. How you doing today? What's going on?
Well, we're almost to fantasy season,
yes.
So this is a pretty exciting time. I mean, those of us in the industry, we've been talking about this for a while, but I think for most people, you're starting to get revved up right now. No hockey, no basketball, it's just baseball. And if your favorite team is the Twins, for example, you may as well start looking ahead to your fantasy draft.
Hey, don't say no basketball to JVT, who's dialed in on Summer League day every day.
Yeah, come on. You're closer now, so you'll have to come out. We can enjoy Summer League and whatnot. But we are locked in on what's happening in some of these pickup games out of the Thomas and Mack Center. So, we still got some hoops going on here.
Well, There are actually, I mean, there are some cool things that do happen in Summer League. The Timberwolves first rounder is fascinating. We're watching this kid make 5 blocks a game. I'm pretty excited for him.
See, there we go.
Don't get him going, Paul.
All right, let's talk about this then. Let's tie in some fantasy, maybe with some season-long stuff. So obviously, finding some of these diamonds in the rough in fantasy can make and break a season. Let's talk quarterback first. Who are some of these guys not named Patrick Mahomes and the names that we know that you think are due for some big either fantasy seasons, maybe could really be a popular play when it comes to, or a good play, some of these season-long props? Any quarterbacks in that mid-range that we should be looking out for?
Yeah, there's 2 guys that I'm targeting in my fantasy drafts, and it depends always. We throw on the term sleeper, and we don't even know what that really means. But here's guys that I'm taking well ahead of where they typically go. Drake May from the Patriots, and I'd like the Patriots to be a vastly improved offense anyway. And although being vastly improved from last year isn't saying a lot. This is a team that ranked 30th in points and 31st in yards last year. So, nowhere to go but up. But just have much, much more faith in Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. And last year, I think we can agree, Drake May playing with the worst offensive line in football and the worst set of receivers was downright gallant in his play. And I really feel like we're going to have a better overall offense. I like the addition of Travion Henderson. That's going to help. Offensive line should get better. They spent the 4th overall pick on offensive line. So I feel like that comes together, and Drake May can run. And I think, for fantasy guys, we're always looking for those dual threat quarterbacks. Drake May is the one that nobody ever talks about as a dual threat quarterback that can help you. Is he going to be Lamar Jackson? No, but is he going to chip in 400, 500 rushing yards? Yeah, maybe. So that's certainly one of them. And the other one is from my favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings, and JJ McCarthy. I've made this case with Mitch and Paulie. I'll do it again here in case anybody wasn't watching that epic award-winning show from last week. Has any player, history of the league, has any quarterback been dropped into a better first-year starting spot than J.J. McCarthy? When he turns left, he's looking at Justin Jefferson. He turns right, there's Jordan Addison. Across the middle in the seam, here's T.J. Hawkinson. Leaking out of the backfield, you can throw to Aaron Jones. You've got the best quarterback coach in the league potentially in Kevin O'Connell, who has gotten career-defining play out of Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. This is such a good spot, and he's another guy who runs way better than anybody has been talking about. McCarthy, ran for 800 yards his last 2 years at Michigan. So there's a real chance for J.J. McCarthy as well to be a really nice sleeper, currently going off the board at draft position 16 at quarterbacks. I like him a little better than that.
To the question of the situation, I will present 1998 Peyton Manning, Marshall Faulk, Marvin Harrison. Not too bad.
Yeah, well, that was Peyton Manning got dropped into that. That is pretty darn good. Nice job. All right. I like that.
But to your point, Paul, that was such a big conversation topic last year before JJ got injured, and then Sam Darnold ended up getting to reap all of those rewards, and you see the season that they ultimately ended up having. So I certainly hope that he can take advantage of everything he's got around him. Let's shift gears here and go to some other skill positions. I'll let you choose what you think is the most notable for our audience.
All right, sounds good. Now, we're going a little bit deeper here. I want to talk about Bears. This is like last pick of your draft territory. Bears running back Roschon Johnson. So we know DeAndre Swift is there now. We also know Ben Johnson has already benched him once in his career, and he was 2 years younger than he is now. And so that was a bad fit then. So Ben Johnson's there now. Roschon Johnson could easily pick up that Jamal Williams role from a couple of years ago. You'll remember 2022, Jamal Williams, 17 touchdowns for Ben Johnson that year as the power back for Ben Johnson. The power back for Ben Johnson now is Roschon Johnson. And, he's physically built for it. Swift is not a goal line guy, never was. He's 5'9", 210 pounds. Johnson's 6 foot, 230. Yeah, so I think that's, if you want a sneaky guy that could be sitting on double-digit touchdowns, Roschon Johnson's one of them. And the other guy that we talked about last week with Mitch and Paulie, in case, anybody missed that, in not to keep going back to the Vikings, but the Vikings are going to find themselves in a spot where they've got the opportunity to get a lot of potential touchdown production from Jordan Mason as the team's designated goal line runner as well.
All right, I wanted to go to a big name, but I think maybe as being a little undervalued. He's also got a new quarterback, too. Prop for Brock Bowers for the season is 1,000 flat. It's 1,500 for receiving yards. That seems really light for a dude who had 1,100 last year with the rotation that he had at quarterback. Is Geno Smith not going to be able to use him way more effectively?
Everything's better about Las Vegas as a team. Vegas, to me, is a sneaky contender in that division. This is going to be a dramatically better team. And I love Bowers. If you want to make a case for Bowers to be the first overall player taken, I'm listening to that. Even though he's going off the board at pick 16, you could trade down instead and still get Bowers. But I think you can make a case for it. Last year, he set the NFL record for the most receptions by a rookie at any position, 112 catches. That passed Puka Nacua from the year before. He also broke the NFL record for the most receiving yards by a rookie tight end ever. And what if Brock Bowers is 15, 20% better? I mean, he can't get double better, but what if he's 20% better this year in an offense that's now got Geno Smith? That is a massive advantage. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew were just giving away drives. This is a huge upgrade to Geno Smith. And so, yeah, I think Brock Bowers going off, again, as I mentioned, pick 15, 16 right now is where he's typically going. That is way too late. I take him as high as the middle of the first round.
Are there any players that are being talked about a lot as those first round picks that you would tell people to stay away from? Like any of those big names that you think are crossed off your board?
Yeah, well, there's several, right? And sometimes, and to make this a meaningful conversation, we got to talk about some big name players that I think have got some fail to them. So first, if you've got pick 7, you're going to have to decide on whether or not you want to take Christian McCaffrey. For me, I don't want to give away my draft at pick 7 because I went with somebody who's missed half of the last 6 years with injury. To me, that's too much risk. And I feel like McCaffrey now at the final quartile of likely his career. To me, that's more risky than I want. And then the other player that people absolutely love, and I understand everybody who gets out there protractors and they're doing all the advanced metrics on how this season should play out. Devon Achane, I feel like he got a little bit lucky last year in that he played all of the games. This Miami offense can come off the rails any of a wide variety of ways. Tua getting hurt, a bad offensive line, Achane getting hurt would all be critically important for him and potentially nuke his season. So as a player who's going off the board at pick 15, to me, it's too much risk. Even though Achane's a good player who catches a lot of passes, I don't want to give away my fantasy draft in the first and second round by taking people who are proven this risky.
All right, let's tap into your knowledge of your favorite team's division. Yesterday, we were talking about the NFC North as a whole, and right now, I mean, it looks like it's the Lions' division to lose. They are the favorite, but not an odds-on favorite. How do you think this thing overall shakes out? And I mean, maybe it's a loaded question, but I think you talk about players that have some failed to them. I think it's Jordan Love that's got some to him too.
Oh, okay. You and I are on the other side of Jordan Love.
Okay.
I see a player, and let's feel free to debate this. I see Love as a player who was ascending at this time last year. He suffered that week 1 groin injury, missed a couple of games, and then just played on it after that. And that threw off his throwing motion. It took all the mobility away from Jordan Love that he had previously had. So JVT, I like him to bounce back here. You add in Matthew Golden, which should help. Offensive line is now also reconfigured, getting all the players playing their natural positions. Last year, due to injury, they had Jenkins playing all over the place, and they had to shuffle that offensive line at least for the start of the season. Now everybody's back in their natural positions. I think the Packers are going to be a very tough out. And honestly, if you think the Bears are going to get better. To me, this is the one that everybody's overemphasizing is the Bears. We all believe Ben Johnson's going to be good, but how quickly can he be good? Can he instantly make the Bears contenders in the toughest division in the history of the NFL? Last year, three different teams making the playoffs.
Yeah,
this is really, really tough, and I don't know if the Bears are going to be good enough early to be big factors there.
Charch, we could do this all day, but we're up against it. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. Everybody check out Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football Weekly, and FantasyLife.com.
Win Some, Lose Some is sponsored by the Sharp Plays.
Were you a winner last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
We were able to book Paul Howard yesterday. Today he was not available, so it will just be me at look, a lot of people liked it, but at the risk of alienating my co-host here, it'll just be me.
I just thought, honestly, it was hilarious, but I thought it was going to last like 30 seconds. It was the full segment. I'm proud that you could keep the bid up. Honestly,
Right.
It's impressive.
I got a lot of
Go
compliments.
on. What do we
All
got
right.
today?
Win some. Let's go to the Summer League from yesterday. Not much to choose from. Slim pickings. Chicago Bulls taking on the Indiana Pacers. If you remember over the weekend, Pacers got bet on against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Bettors got burned, so they turned their backs on them. Bulls go from +5. They close +3.5. They win outright 114-105 against the Indiana Pacers. Heat, this was a big move. They were catching 6, closed as 2.5-point underdogs. Steam was right. Beat the Celtics outright 100-96. That's it for Winsome on the court. Off the field, and on the field eventually, the Los Angeles Chargers. How about this? We got some new unis. We got the navies right here. They also unveiled all gold uniforms as well as the resident uniform wet blanket. What did you think of the new Chargers unis?
It's a little far. Yes, for anybody who has watched Money Moves, I'm just not big into uniforms like this. I don't get it.
For the Follow the Money audience, she poo-pooed the Arizona State new unis. So
they
gives you an
looked
idea
like
for
uniforms.
taste.
They
Yeah.
didn't seem that different. Cool, you got Arizona State in print on the front now. Very different, very unique. No, I think uniforms are uniforms. They're fine. There's a couple that I think are really cool. I think it's awesome that Oregon has made that their staple with the connection they have to Nike. I think that the creamsicles are very cool and unique and different and fun, but there's not like it's a Navy uniform. What do you want from me?
I mean, these are reminiscent of the LT uniforms back in the day.
They're very nice.
They're very, very nice.
They're very nice.
Very much like them.
I'm going to get so
Also,
much hate mail now. Thank you.
Also winning, Klay Thompson on the court and off the court. Now, here we are. It's a very good warm-up here. But Klay, it looks like, has a little bit of a different pep in his step here, Stormy. Why would that be, I wonder?
Well, I know to you, it's because he's Instagram official with Megan Thee Stallion now.
Klay has backed Megan Thee Stallion. There was a great video of her unboxing stuff. Look, he hasn't missed a shot. I wonder what's going on. Seems like he's got a new lease on life here after announcing his newfound relationship with Megan Thee Stallion. Hasn't even missed yet.
All these people,
Better watch out.
all these people were saying, like, after all the L's he's taken recently, he gets the W of all W's.
No. Let's just say, if you look at Klay Thompson's history, there's a lot of W's
That's
in there.
facts.
There's a lot of W's
Facts.
in there. All right, another one here. Speaking of W's, let's check it out. Dogs, quests, garbage trucks, and big sticks. And here we go. This guy's got one. Gal, maybe. I don't know. It's a pink harness. That's a big stick. Loving it. Look at him. Life on the beach. Happier.
I'm surprised. Like, that's got to be heavy. That thing looks dense. And I'm not just talking about the dog.
I mean, I actually am kind of jealous in the fact that, like, I wish my life was so simple that I would get joy from just getting a big stick in my mouth.
I'm going to let that one simmer. Next.
I lose some. Hawks, we talked about this at length yesterday. Went up from 3.5 to 6.5 point favorites. Need overtime to beat the Rockets. 111-108. Also need a ridiculous turnover at the end of that game where an inbounds pass goes into the basket and a turnover late. Hawks need overtime to get the win. Do not get the cover.
The 80-1, though.
Yes,
live.
still
That's
live,
what we're talking
baby.
about.
They're now 6-1 to win the whole thing.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I
come
saw
on.
that this morning.
Lakers catching one at the Open, closes 1.5 point favorites, lose to the Clippers yesterday in one of the best played basketball games in the history of mankind, 67-58. It was ugly. WNBA, lose some. What are you doing? Only 2 games tonight. Both of them are at night, and Caitlin Clark is head-to-head with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game?
I thought this yesterday, too, that you have an opportunity when all that's going on really is the Home Run Derby and some Summer League, and you don't have a single national game. Just pretty weak right now. This is the week where you don't have any Major League Baseball filling up the slate all day. Just do something. Take advantage of the early slate. What are we doing?
That's the whole point. Take advantage. This is your
advantage.
opportunity.
Yes.
I have no idea what they're doing. Jazz Chisholm hits just 3 home runs in the Derby yesterday. Some of the quotes, a shout out to Jared Smith, who had the quote in his little breakdown there up on Twitter, where he was literally, Chisholm was just, I'm paraphrasing, just there to show up and get out, punch the time clock and get out. And did just that with 3 homers yesterday.
Like, why even go? Why even show up if that's what you're going to do? By the way, the 3 home runs was the first time since 2014 somebody had hit so few, and that was when they only did 7 outs. So just take that into account for what we saw. And I don't know, on a day where there's like some moments that were actually really, really cool, and you see O'Neal Cruz bust one out for like 513 yards, No Aaron Judge. We got Jazz Chisholm from the Yankees.
Yep.
Love that for us.
By the way, real quick, last losesome here on the Home Run Derby, just really quickly, because this was reported about 30 minutes ago from Susan Slusser. Brent Rooker actually told Susan Slusser that Major League Baseball clarified he should have gotten more balls in his bucket during the Home Run Derby. So it was just a mess all the way around for the Home Run Derby yesterday. So bettors not happy all the way around. All right, next up, the kid who, I guess, is it a kid? He kind of looked old. But the teenager that robbed Junior Caminero's home run out there.
They counted the home run, though.
They did. So that's why I didn't understand. When I first saw this, I saw, like, ban the kid. If the home run counted, then what's the big deal? I mean, I
wanted them not to. I got to be honest with you.
I'm with you. If you are just have a bunch of randos in a field, if I can rob your home run, it should not count.
In the moment when I saw that happen, I was like, oh, come on now. Hysterical, hilarious. I wanted it to not count. The ball stayed in the yard.
I'm with you. I cannot believe that there was actually outrage about that Caminero might have gotten robbed, which eventually he didn't.
The panic on that young man's face, though, when his buddy comes up to him and he's like, dude, why'd you catch that? And he's like, oh no. I felt terrible, but it counted as well.
Did you feel worse there or here? It is not often that a young career is snuffed out in the Summer League, and yet we might have seen that yesterday. Bulls rookie Noah Essengay dunked on by Johnny Furphy yesterday in the Summer League. Look at this picture. Look at the look on his face. I'm a very reasonable and even-keeled person. I think the only reasonable step at this point is to retire.
Oh my God, he had a good day too.
He
was like 21 points.
Did he? No idea.
When you sent this in our group chat yesterday, at first I was like, what am I looking at? I thought this was photoshopped.
This is incredible.
Brutal.
You can't go on. I'm sorry. There's only two options. You retire or you have to become a Hall of Famer. There is nothing in between.
You don't want that on a trophy?
I mean, that's absolutely incredible. All right, what do we got? Show me a dog. We got dog roulette here. We're firing away on some of these. I think we're going to have more cute dogs either deciding between things or loving their owners. What do we got? All right, Bella helping out. I wish my kids would help out like this. Look at this. Washing the hedgehogs. No, those are not real hedgehogs for our audio audience. They are very clearly stuffed hedgehogs.
Stuffed animals. Yeah, he's doing more laundry than my husband's ever done.
There you go.
I feel bad saying that. He does more laundry than me, if we're being transparent. But that's very cool. Getting him trained up. Such a good boy. Such a good helper.
Have you seen the videos of the dogs that are trained to go get beers and stuff?
Yes.
That's I got to get in on that.
Stop training robots. Train dogs. They'll love you at the end of the day. They're not going to turn. I mean, maybe some might turn.
Dogs can still kill you.
These are the good dogs.
That's what happens. All right, bad beats. Brent Rooker eliminated from the Home Run Derby. How about this? Because his longest home run was an inch shorter than Cal Raleigh. You see the numbers here. You want to give that number a shot?
So I'm not going to do the full thing.
Nah,
but
come on, give the whole thing a shot.
I can't see the full thing. I've got a camera in the way of it, but they were both
470.617, 145, 2141 long home run. Brent Rooker just a 470.535, 1740, 593.
Or if you want to keep it simple, 470, 617, 470, 535.
Yeah.
Okay? But, I mean, it was that close on the StatCast. I wish that we would have had a swing off. I think we probably should have. I also just think we should go back to the 10 outs format. I'm one of those people that really enjoyed that. I think there's too much confusion for what this format is, but I enjoyed last night. I got to be transparent with you. I had a lot of fun watching it.
All right. By the way, brought to you by Sharp Plays here on Win Some, Lose Some. Unmatched transparency, unlike Major League Baseball with this measuring system. With records updated daily, you get AI betting analysis as well and real-time global betting information delivered straight to you right from the pros. Sign up now at thesharpplays.com. Nobody does better than thesharpplays.com. Sharpplays.com.
I still can't get over Cal Raleigh's nickname.
Big Dumper?
Yeah, and I know it's been such a great story for him all season long, what he's done as a catcher, leading MLB in home runs. He's a contender for MVP, home runs leader, all of that stuff for the year. But yeah, every time I turn on a broadcast or last night, every time he did something, the Big Dumper, hitting dingers. It's just, I'll never get used to it. I don't think I'll ever get used to it.
Did you enjoy, are you a Pat McAfee gal?
To an extent.
To an extent. Was that extent reached yesterday in the I'm
not big on the showman
I don't know, the shtick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's just my personal preference. I think he's very good at what he does.
Yes.
He's very engaging. He gets good interviews. He gets people to say things they wouldn't otherwise say. Very
I just
comfortable
didn't get the
feeling.
connection. You know what I'm saying?
But
like
yeah,
it's the Major
it
League
felt a
Baseball
little
Home Run
off.
Derby. I didn't understand the connection of having him there.
Felt a little
But
bit
overall, former Colts punter, I'm down.
But it's on ESPN. They utilize their talent where they see fit.
Still, I mean, but they don't have a good track record of doing it. They force their guys in spots that they were supposed to be. They're not.
Some of the
supposed to be.
interviews were a little interesting yesterday too. Although I did really want to see Cal Raleigh's interview at the end. I also didn't know you get so many awards. I know you get $1 million, you get a trophy, but there's, in addition to the trophy and chain, we now have a WWE belt as well. So that was interesting.
Connect with the youth.
Fun stuff yesterday. I liked it. Coming up, getting into college football, Chris the Bear Felica joins us with some of his in-pocket season win totals. Stick around.